Welcome back to BT. Sid Seixeiro here with you. The Toronto Blue Jays, as we left air yesterday, made some massive news. It is yet to be official from the team, but everybody that we trust is reporting that José Berríos signed the second largest contract in the history of the organization. 7 years, $131 million. They acquired him at the trade deadline on July 30th of this year. He is 27 years old. He is as consistent as they come. It is big money. The age is good. Everything seems right with this deal. Shi Davidi of Sportsnet has been kind enough to join us this morning. He was one of the first to report on this yesterday. Shi, it is great to see you. I'm trying to poke a hole in this contract, and normally with a $131 million contract, you can find something you don't like. I'm having a hard time.
Yeah, for good reason. Like, you look at this contract, and it is a very strong contract for someone who is, as you mentioned, about as durable and as consistent, as steady as you can be in the starting pitcher's role. And he was due to hit free agency until the end of the 2022 season. So a lot of people were expecting this to maybe end up being a bigger number for him to go to the market. But the Blue Jays were able to convince him to take this contract. And, you know, when you consider that he was essentially going to be paid $11 million for next season, anyways, this contract turns into essentially 6 years at $120 million, which for a pitcher of his ilk seems a little below market. So for the Blue Jays to get this done, it's a big piece of business that really impacts them for the long term at a number that's really palatable when you consider the player's quality.
They missed the playoffs by a game, Shi, as we all know, and it's a tough one to answer, but I'm just trying to contextualize it for people at home. If they had a full season of this young man this past season, is this a playoff team? Do they get over the hump? Is he that important?
Yeah, oh, for sure. I mean, he would have won them one game more than some of the other pitchers that he replaced. But I think you can, when it's one game, you can look at any number of different things to say, well, hey, you know, one defensive play in one game here, you know, one single here, one strikeout here from your relief staff, and you get over that hump. So I think the Blue Jays will definitely feel a lot more confident knowing they've got him from start to finish. And you know, when you think about as they're positioned for this offseason, you know, they now have their guy in place for the long term. So maybe it allows them to look at some guys more from a short-term perspective, allows them to be a little bit more flexible, knowing that they have their ace for years to come, that maybe it allows them to shop in different pitch categories from the pitching front and perhaps spend a little bit more on a position player regard.
Let's continue along the line of shopping. And I know it's $131 million, but still, it's not that much in terms of next year's budget. So let's have some fun with this, Shi, because I'm not convinced they're done by a long shot. The two names that everyone's looking at, Robbie Ray, is the Cy Young announced today, Shi?
That's tonight, yeah.
So listen, Robbie Ray could find out tonight if he's won the Cy Young Award as Pitcher of the Year in the American League for the Blue Jays. Robbie Ray is also one of those guys, Shi, when he got in the Jays system, he signed very quickly last offseason. He signed, I believe, the first day of free agency for $8 million for the 1 year. And we just saw José Berríos. Listen, when the Jays got him in the door, they convinced him, this is probably the spot for you. Can they do that again, depending on the price point, with a guy who's going to today be atop the pitching mountain in the American League?
Well, they can certainly do that if they wanted to. I think the question for the Blue Jays right now is, how do you make this team better? And, you know, do you bring back exactly what you had last year, knowing that it's going to be a lot more expensive to get Robbie Ray back? It's going to be a lot more expensive to bring back Marcus Semien and Steven Matz. Or are you trying to transform yourself a little bit and reallocate some of your resources? You know, the Blue Jays obviously have a pretty good offense even without Marcus Semien. So maybe they take a step down there and invest more in their pitching staff. Or maybe as opposed to sort of having that, you know, another top end guy from a starting rotation front, you know, they're going to need two starters. Maybe you're looking at two middle tier starters and, you know, a better reliever. So, you know, obviously you want to bring back Robbie Ray. You think about the way that he pitched in the American League East. You know, a lot of guys can do that, certainly. But, you know, the Blue Jays have to look at their roster holistically. And, you know, what they're essentially been doing in the past couple of weeks is examining what's possible for them, both in the free agent market and via trade, and trying to identify what's the best suite of moves that they can pull off to make the overall roster better.
Look, I mean, I don't want to sound like I'm ungrateful to Robbie Ray, because, again, he might win the Cy Young in 10 hours or whatever it is. But I think about what Marcus Semien has meant to some guys in that clubhouse. And we've run the clip of Bo Bichette at the end of season media avail get emotional thinking about what the role that Marcus Semien has played in his season and just the tone that Marcus Semien, he's one of the hardest workers in baseball. I know it's probably going to be more expensive than the Jays want, but Shi, if I got to pick one of the two, I'm leaning Semien. Am I wrong? Like, why would that be an incorrect thought at this stage?
It wouldn't be an incorrect thought. In fact, it makes a lot of sense. And, I'm of the mind that if you get an elite everyday position player like Marcus Semien is, I mean, he's making an impact for you
Agreed.
every single day on the field. And, he's not just making an impact for your team on the field. He's got a clear impact off the field in terms of the way that he prepares for games. And that was something that you saw the young infielders in particular rally around like every day, about 3 o'clock for a 7 o'clock game. He and the other infielders were out there getting their work in, no matter what had happened the day before, no matter how beat up they may be. He showed a certain toughness, a durability, a determination that was an example for the young players that's going to feed into this team for a long time. So, for all those reasons, plus the production, his professionalism, all that kind of stuff, you can understandably make the case that if you had to pick one or the other, you would go with Marcus Semien. But again, I think for the Blue Jays, they'll look at that and say, okay, well, can we bring back Marcus Semien? Do we maybe spread the money over second and third base, instead of having one great player, get two good players? Those are the kind of considerations that they're going to look at right now. And of course, Marcus Semien is going to have a very, very strong market. So he's going to have a lot of offers to choose from.
No doubt. 7-year deal for Berríos yesterday. Robbie Ray could win the Cy Young later today. The hot stove continues. Jays making moves. A great time of year. Shi Davidi, Sportsnet, we appreciate you. Thank you very much.
Take care.
Take care, Shi. Follow him on Twitter because things are changing rapidly here with the Jays. Coming up.